I wish you a absolutely wonderful day. It's Brian Ivy, and we are looking at a jet stream map. This is across the Pacific Ocean. This is where it would typically be centered at, but notice the center is to the north. And what that's going to do is it's going to propagate a more northern jet stream across the country. What happens on the southern end of a jet stream? Warmer air can rise into it. So it's going to be a warmer pattern across much of the United States and much of Canada as well. Brian Ivy here for your snowplow news video here at Norcast Weather, providing all of the insight and information for you to help plan through the next extended period. So before we get to the warm up, it's a big time cold air drop. Arctic blast through the weekend, sliding off towards the east as we go throughout early next week. The warmer weather starts to push on in more across portions of the I-70, I-80 corridor. We get a couple of cooler blasts for your Christmas Eve. There could be a couple systems into your Christmas, but notice this. This is a big batch of warm air. This is that push of mild conditions across the eastern portion of the country over the next week and a half as that cold then retreats at times into the central and west, but also at times it'll be pretty warm there too. I'll show you more on that in a little bit. But Clipper system sliding across northern plains into the Great Lakes could have a swath of a good few inches, but then it greatly weakens into the lakes and Ohio Valley and starts to kind of fall apart a little bit as we go on in towards your Friday with drier air and some warmer temperatures that it will run on into as well. Now back towards the west, we're going to have mild conditions. We're going to have fairly uneventful weather for the weekend as that cold air pushes in further east. A couple of systems in towards the west coast is going to get very active there, but then early next week we get our next system here to form and move off towards the east, similar to what we had of Wednesday of this week. Maybe a little bit of mix or snow to the north, but marginal temperatures, I don't think it's going to be a big deal at all. And then there's not really much in the way of snow chances off across the eastern portion of the country after that. So could pick up in spots, maybe a sloppy inch or two, few spots. Could be a little bit more over the next week, but the main area is really this main swath with the Clipper that could drop, I don't think 9 inches, but a widespread 3 to 6 in definitely spots riding up into the North Dakota area and towards Alberta, and then plenty of snow coming on in next week for the western portion of the nation. Ski resorts will definitely not be having any trouble at that point. So plenty of moisture into the west, much less moisture in towards the middle portion of the country, and it will be kind of a dry pattern really setting up as we go throughout the east. Let's go back to talking temperatures. This is what December has been to date. Frigid across the northern plains and very cold into the Midwest and pretty cool across the southeast. The warm weather has been more of central and the southern portions of the plains for the most part. This is really exactly what we were thinking going into the month on what the forecast would be. Now, this blast of cold air is certainly going to be around for the weekend. You can see these wind chills or feels like temperatures getting below zero near the Canadian border and well into the single digits and teens as far south as maybe DC, yeah. And we'll see that moderate a little bit early next week, and then that will really start the warm up. So something to keep a close eye on. Plenty of warm air really building into a big section of the country. And as we go through those next 6 to 10 days, that will slide off towards the east as well. Let's take you through the whole month of January. Boom! Very toasty temperatures develop across Canada and much of the United States. It starts to break down into the west, and then it breaks down across the eastern portion of the country, and it actually gets very cold, well below average for a good 2 to 3 week stretch. So big warmth all over, gradual cooling here, and then getting pretty cold. And then it will start to moderate again as we go closer towards your February. And I think after that, honestly, it's going to be pretty mild. It might be another one of those February and Marches where we just don't have too much in the way of winter.
Your Norcast weather update.